Hello and welcome to this Business New Zealand update for December the 1st. I'm Grant Walker, joined by Business New Zealand CEO Kirk Hope. Well, Kirk, what a week it's been. Let's start with the move to the traffic light system tomorrow. All regions, and we know which ones they are now, either in red or in orange. Are businesses ready for what comes next? And last time, we spoke, do they still understand it or yet understand it?
Well, I think two things to which the answer is no. Firstly, are they ready? My observation will be there's still a lot of questions about the traffic light system. Obviously, businesses want to open; they want to open safely, but there is a real genuine lack of clarity around what the different traffic lights mean for different business operations, because it is complex. One other observation that I'd make is that this has all been put together reasonably quickly, within probably only a month-long period, maybe a little longer than that. But they certainly should have had or been working on it from a policy perspective a lot earlier to give businesses time to adjust. I think one of the other key things that I'd observe is that there are obligations for businesses, health and safety obligations, and it will be important for WorkSafe to ensure that they give businesses enough time to adjust to these new rules before they start to enforce, in that they take a reasonably pragmatic approach, given the short period of time that businesses have had to implement, and B, the importance of making sure that they're doing the right thing and confirming they're doing the right thing. So support and education should take place before enforcement, in my view.
All right, now let's talk about the transition, because the transition payment to help people in this traffic light phase up to 24K has been announced. And now that's to help what? And then does everything end or some carries on?
Yeah, so that's really to recognise that some businesses are still not able to operate fully in red. So some hospitality businesses will not necessarily be able to operate fully in red. So this is a transition payment to recognise that. It's effectively very similar to what other jurisdictions have provided. So, for example, Ireland. So it's 4,000 plus 400 per worker, up to a maximum of 50 workers. So a maximum dollar value of $24,000. There will still remain the resurgence support payment and the wage subsidy for a brief period of time. But as we get further into the traffic light system, the government is looking to phase that support out. Of course, the reason for that being that the traffic light system allows a lot more businesses to do a lot more things than the alert level system did when you're in alert level 2.5 or 3.
Now, there's no doubt that this is going to help a lot of businesses, and of course the cash flow is going to help. But again, hospitality, a lot of saying they're being left out of the equation. Again, this is not going to be the summer of money flowing in. The borders are still pretty much closed to everyone except New Zealanders, who are going to be traveling from December 15. So hospitality, they're 4 billion down. Where to now?
Yeah, I think that's right. Well, I guess it's going to be up to New Zealanders to try and support those businesses actually through the summer. I think the observation that I would make about it is that it's difficult for them, not only from a cash flow perspective, but if we have different regions and different colours of traffic light, and you have a business operation that runs nationally, you're going to have to ensure that you comply with the rules in whatever region that's that say you're operating in Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, Dunedin, and they're all in orange, green, and red. Obviously, in green it's easy, less so in orange, and certainly less so in red. So they're still having to figure that out. They're still having to figure out how they will manage people who don't want to, who aren't vaccinated and want to go into their premises, and whether they need additional resources and people to be on the door to prevent access, things like that. So I think it's going to be I hope it's going to be a lot easier than it looks, but it looks pretty challenging at the moment.
All right, let's speak of those rules. The employment courts just found an Auckland airport employee who was fired for refusing to be vaccinated may have an arguable case for reinstatement, citing, and this is the important part, the process followed by the company. So they obviously got the process wrong. What's the learning here?
I think really important to go through a full consultation process with someone where you've created a vaccine mandate within a workplace for a role, and that person doesn't want to get vaccinated. That you go through the right process, and helpfully the government did pass a new set of rules in relation to businesses that choose to implement a vaccine mandate, and what happens with workers in those businesses if they choose not to be vaccinated. So there is a process in place. Effectively, it's a month's paid leave while the person chooses to either get vaccinated or exit the business. Now, that process can only start to be put in place. It can be put in place if you've done a risk assessment under the Health and Safety in Work Act, or there is another risk assessment, which is a simplified risk assessment that you may be able to do that will be able to determine whether the role needs to be vaccinated or not.
All right, where are we with Omicron? Today, Chris Hipkins said that there is a possibility there could be changes to these lifting of the borders. We're not sure what he's talking about, but there could be changes because of Omicron. Where are you on this?
Yeah, well, I think it's sort of like the Delta situation. What do we know about it? What are the impacts going to be, and how are we preparing for them? I'm pretty sure most business people would observe that we weren't that well prepared for Delta, even though we saw it coming a mile away. I think it's going to be important that we understand what the implications of Omicron are, and that we are prepared for it. I mean, part of this process will be that if for example, Delta proves to be more transmissible, we'll probably be well set up. It may be that we don't need to do that much at the border. One of the things we weren't well prepared for with Delta is testing and rapid antigen testing, and using that as a support mechanism at the same time as we were vaccinating the population, and noting that testing is going to be a really important part of risk management going forward for businesses that where vaccination is not required. Still going to want to run risk assessments and ensure that they have safe workplaces. In order to do that, they're going to need to test people. So we weren't prepared for Delta, and in fact, we're playing catch up now. So we want to make sure that we're not in that same space for Omicron.
Risk assessment. They are the two most important words. All right, let's move to the one bit of news that was in politics over the weekend and not health related. It is the National Party leadership, which, regardless of whether you're pro for, doesn't matter. There is a new team at the top, and it's someone that you know quite well, Christopher Luxon. What are you looking for with regard to the new leadership?
Well, I think one of the things that Christopher will bring to the job is actually an understanding of some of the complex issues that businesses are facing at the moment. I mean, he has run a couple of fairly large and complex businesses in New Zealand and the Canadian operation of Unilever. So he does bring that understanding of business to the role, and I think that will be really important in bringing unity, of course, to the caucus so that they can be a really effective opposition. One of the challenges I think with having a majority government is that there is no effective challenge to them, particularly if you've got a weak opposition. We've seen the government do things far too slowly on a range of fronts, and I mean, this is even reflected by Sir Brian Roach in a couple of reports that he's now written around, as I referred to, the testing situation. Now, we can't have that, so we really do need an effective opposition. I just note, of course, that I think Christopher Bishop had done a pretty good job in pushing the government quite hard on some MIQ issues. But as a caucus, it will be important that National are unified and are able to push the government so that we can be prepared for Omicron and whatever else we need to do from a policy perspective to meet those challenges.
Well, normally at this time of the year, we hope things slow down a little bit, but that is not the case, and is not going to be the case in the next few weeks. We'll talk again before Christmas.